Welcome back to our Introduction to Penetration Testing video series. In this video, I'll look at using Burp Suite as an intercepting proxy. What is an intercepting proxy, you may ask? Let's have a quick look. An intercepting proxy is a type of proxy that's used to capture requests. And these requests are going to be between the web application and the browser. We want to do this so that we can catalog all the HTTP and all the HTTPS requests that are sent from the browser. But we also want to capture every response issued by the web application. By doing that, we can analyze the GET and POST request parameters, and we can see what they actually do. And what we're trying to look for are parameters that appear to be unsafe. If we can find some, we can tweak. So, for example, let's say we've got a debug parameter that's being passed through a POST request, and it says debug equals off. How about we change that request from debug equals off to debug equals on? Send it off through to the web server or the web application and see what happens. By doing this, we might be able to get some additional information on what's going on, and we can also find information to see that we can use to plan an attack. For this demonstration, we're just going to use Burp Suite, which is installed on Kali. I have my two virtual machines. They're both running. I'm using two. We're using Kali and we're using Metasploitable. Metasploitable is going to be the vulnerable web server that we're checking on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just have a look to see what my IP address is and to see what the IP address is of the web server. To do this, I'm just going to go over again. We've covered this before, but we'll just do a bit of revision. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I know my own IP address. I'm just going to type in IP A, and as you can see, my web address is 192.168.100.6. I'm now going to just clear the screen so I know what my IP address is. So now I know that I'm on the 192.168.100 network. Again, we've got a number of ways that we can do things. I'm just going to use nmap. So I'm just going to do sudo nmap -sn 192.168.100.0/24. Okay, so we'll remember this from our nmap video, that the SN will just scan through and it won't actually do any port scanning. I'll put in my super secret password. And it will scan. Okay, as we remember from our last video, these two, 192.168.100.1 and 192.168.100.2, are both part of my host, so we won't use them. In fact, I think they're actually part of my KVM virtualization setup. 192.168.100.3, although it's got an Oracle virtual NIC, I'm pretty sure that is going to be our DHCP server. So that's how that will be put in. I believe that the machine that is our Metasploitable is going to be 192.168.100.7. And just to check this, I'm again going to use nmap, and I'm just going to do a -ss, and I'm just going to do a default scan. And what this one will do, because I haven't mentioned anything about ports or anything like that, it's only going to scan the first 1,000 ports. I just want to confirm that this is my Metasploitable machine. This will make it makes it very quick, and we can see that we've got a lot of ports there. So I'm going to take this as being my Metasploitable machine. Before we get into setting up our Burp Suite, the first thing I want to do is set up Firefox to use a proxy. So I'm going to go to Firefox. I'm just going to open that up. I'm going across to the hamburger and going down to preferences. I'm going to now type in proxy in the search so that I can just find it. And I'm going to set it to manual proxy. I want it to proxy for 127.0.0.1 on port 8080. And I want all services to use this proxy. So now that we've got that up, we can start looking at setting up Burp Suite. So we'll go across to our application menu and we'll go to Web Application Analysis and click on Burp Suite. This will open up Burp Suite Community Edition. We're just going to use the temporary project and we'll use the defaults. Now we're just going to go to up here to proxy. We're going to go to options. We can see that our proxy is on. We're going to scroll down to intercept client requests. From here, we're just going to click on the OR HTTP method checkbox and we're going to edit. We're going to change the OR to AND. We're going to change the does not match to matches. And we're going to change get post to just get. We'll go OK. And that should be it for us for now. So we'll come back up. We'll go back to intercept. And we'll just make sure that we have intercept is on. We've got everything set up for our little demonstration, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through some steps that we could use to make changes to part of our web page that's being captured. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that I've got interceptors on again. I'm going to go to Kali, to my Firefox. I'm going to go to my web server. The web server was a request from my browser, from my Firefox browser, to the web application has been captured by or intercepted by our Burp Suite intercepting proxy. It's waiting for me now to click on the forward button to send it from Burp Suite to the web application. But before I send it on, I want the response to this request to be captured as it comes from the web application back to the browser. To do that, I'm just going to right click anywhere, scroll down to do intercept and click on response to this request. So do intercept the response to this request. I'm now going to go forward. If all is set up correctly, we'll see the HTML page from the web application. And as you can see, it's rendered as a HTML page. If I go across to my Kali Linux, my Firefox, there's still nothing there. Right? There's nothing there. It's waiting for something to come in, and it's waiting, and nothing's there because our Burp Suite intercepting proxy has intercepted it, and it's now holding it ready, waiting for me to hit forward. And that will send it to the browser. But before I send it to the browser, I'm going to change never to always. I'm going to change my username, the MSF admin, which is the username for Metasploitable. I'm going to change it to Cyclops, and I'm going to change the password to use the source. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm now just going to click on forward. It's forwarded on. When we go across to Firefox, we can see that we've now got a rendering of the page, so it's come through from the proxy, and you can see that it's now always expose this VM rather than never. And I've done a login, and I've done Cyclops and use the source. Okay, so that's a bit of a fun thing to do. Rather than defacing a web page, why don't we use the Burp Suite Intercepting proxy to check for validation of web pages. As you can see, Metasploitable has a number of different web applications. We're going to use Matilda. Before we go there, we'll go across to Burp Suite, and we'll just turn our Intercepting proxy off, because we don't want to. What we're going to do at the moment, we don't want to intercept. We'll go to Matilda. We're going to make sure we toggle our security level to level 1. I've already done that here, but to do that, I'll just toggle back to level 0. Level 0 basically means there's no validation, there's nothing, no security. So we're just going to toggle security, and we just want to have level 1 for what we're doing. Level 1 will give us some form validations. Go across to the OWASP top 10 menu, across to injection, and we want to go to bypass authentication injection, and click on login. So as you can see, we have a login page here, and we're going to use this login page to see if there's any validation. What we'll do is we'll click in the name form, and let's just put in a single quote. Nothing else, just a single quote, and click on login. We get a dangerous character detected. We can't have that. So this shows us that there is some form validation, and it's saying, okay, we're not going to allow you, well, the form's not going to allow you to put in any characters that it feels are dangerous. We'll go back to Burp Suite, and before we turn our intercept on, we'll go to options, and to make this work, we actually have to untick the HTTP method that we had selected in our last interception. And we'll go back to intercept and turn intercept on. Let's go back to Firefox, and what we're going to do is we're going to type in a name, Ward, and let's put in a password. I'm just going to use Robin, and we'll log in, and as we can see over here, it has been intercepted by Burp Suite, and we've got a username of Ward and a password of Robin. How about, rather than sending that to Burp Suite, how about we change it, we'll change Ward to our single quote. Now, this we'll get an error message, we're expecting an error message, but it won't be a validation message. It won't be that pop-up validation. And the reason why it won't be that is because by intercepting it, by putting something in that's not dangerous, so a username, a proper type of username and a proper type of password, and sending that through, it goes through the validation, the JavaScript validation, so it's a client-side validation, and is then intercepted after it's done that client-side validation. So as far as the client is concerned, what we sent is what's going across. So now if we hit forward, we will get an error message, but that's expected. So here we get an error message, but we get some information from here. So we've got a select anything from accounts where the username is null and password is Robin. Okay, so at least we do get we've got some information, but we have bypassed that client-side validation. That's the end of this video. I'll have another video for you shortly.